Introducing the Little Giants Podcast, brought to you by HILITEHUB,
hosted by Elric
and Joey Riccatoni.
Down, set, up.
He drops back to pass.
Oh, and he strip sack. It's a fumble.
You got a
He
big
can
booger
go all
hanging
the
in the
way.
bottom of your nose, pal.
Touchdown.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Welcome to the Little Giants Podcast once again.
Baker, 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 can't you see? Sometimes 5 touchdowns hypnotize me. I thought that one was pretty good. We're bringing it this week, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little too choreographed. You haven't said a word to me since I showed up.
Well, I was in the mirror and I was working on it.
Yeah, you went into the bathroom. I heard you practicing.
Well, I had some chains before. Thankfully, I took the chains off because that would have been a bit too much. But
Yeah. Where's your Baker Mayfield jersey, man? You should be wearing it for
get
this
it.
episode.
It's in the closet.
All right, much like Joey.
No, it's not. Get the jers. Get the jers. It's the brown one with the number 6 on it.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah, you friggin' idiot. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
So if you guys couldn't tell, the Browns won. Baker had a really good game.
Woo! Oh, that's peaking.
And let's talk about Odell. And maybe he was the problem the whole time.
Well, I mean, I don't want to crap on a guy whose knee just exploded, but
I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm saying he
No.
was a bad fit.
honestly, I mean, first of all, well, did we say welcome to the Little Giants Podcast?
I believe I did.
This is Elric. I am
Baker Mayfield.
Baker
We
Mayfield.
got him on the show. This is such an
It
honor.
was a progressive move. Oh. I made that joke already. But, yeah, we were talking last week, obviously, about... I mean, we've talked at length just in our personal conversations and whatnot. Originally, like a year and a half ago or whatever, when the trade went down, I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then all of last year, I was rooting and tooting saying Rashard Higgins needs to be on the field at all times because in Baker's rookie year... He went Hollywood. Like
They have a chemistry. They have like a really good chemistry. Better than Baker and Jarvis, I would say even.
yeah, well, because I think in that equation, you know, Jarvis was kind of that big possession, big play.
Yeah.
Like no doubt Jarvis makes good plays, and kind of this game you were seeing him after the catch. He had one really nice catch and run where because he breaks a lot of tackles for a smaller dude, you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying this week after Odell went down, and we're praying for you. We hope you're doing well, Odell. But after he went down, that team looked like the offense looked like Baker's rookie year.
Yeah,
They were
honestly.
clicking. He was confident with his throws, which was the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's 100% the biggest thing. There's a confidence, like he doesn't, when Odell's on the field, and like again, we're not saying that Odell's the issue. Obviously, he's a better player than Rashard Higgins is.
Yeah.
He's a better player than Donovan Peoples Champ Jones is, you know. He's
Nice.
the People's Champ. Give him the People's Elbow. Wrestling.
The eyebrow.
Yep. Yeah, obviously Odell's a better player than those guys, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good fit like we were saying, and it just seemed like when Odell was in the game, Baker was noticeably more jumpy in the pocket too, which has been my biggest thing watching him. It's like, dude, step up in the pocket, stop hopping around. You look like the Trix rabbit looking for some cereal.
It almost feels like if you have two number one receivers, you don't have any. You know, I think that clear number one, number two with Landry and Higgins works better than Landry and Beckham because they're both number ones.
Right, but also, too, just, this is another thing we were talking about, when it comes down to the scramble drill, because we all know Baker loves to roll out of the pocket, Rashard Higgins always seems to be there. In his rookie year, it seemed to be that way, but also, just back in this game, it seems like they didn't skip a beat, and there were a lot of times where Baker was kind of running for his life. Not in a nervous way like you see with Odell, where I guess maybe he's not really working back to the ball as hard as a guy who's trying to get on the field is.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the time.
I also just think, like, once Odell went down, Baker was, like, spreading the ball to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, as like, when Odell is on the field, it's like he's either forcing it to Odell, throwing it to Jarvis, or checking it down to the running back.
Right.
But then Odell goes down and he's, Harrison Bryant all of a sudden takes a big step.
The next George Kittle, been saying it.
He looked really good against, albeit the Bengals, but the Bengals,
Still.
like we said last week, the Bengals are a better team than a lot of people give them credit for.
100%. And it's a divisional game, so it's always a tougher match when you're playing a bad team in your division. Like in the Browns' really bad years, they always gave the Steelers a fight, more so than they did this past year.
For sure.
And with that, you become familiar. So it's like when you have someone who runs a 4-3 running at you all the time. In terms of the NFL, you can have a guy like Marcus Peters who runs a 4-6 or whatever it was in the combine. He can keep up because he's used to that speed coming up.
Yeah, you have the feel for the other team and what they're trying to do.
Exactly. So it's always been a good matchup between the Bengals and the Browns. And I think when people look, it's the Bengals, well, that's a knock on Joe Burrow because that dude's just balling out in general. Obviously, it's going to be between...
I mean, he had an amazing game, too.
Really
like
did.
Baker threw 5 touchdowns, and obviously the Browns are, like, more of a team in the spotlight, so a lot of people are going to talk about Baker.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow had an insanely good game.
100%, like over 400 yards,
Like
4
that,
touchdowns.
he's a dog. He's got everything you need in a quarterback.
100%, and the only reason why they didn't win that game is because the Browns had the ball last with enough time. And even still, he on that Hail Mary attempt, like that almost went through. I was freaking out. I forget who it was. AJ Green was standing behind. I thought it was going to be one of that repeat game against Baltimore way back in the day when it's the tip ball and AJ Green catches it in the back of the end zone. I'm like, it's going to happen again, but there was like a guy disguised in his brown uniform right in front of AJ Green. So thankfully it worked out for the best. But yeah, like Burrow made plays and got his team the lead. And we were saying it last week, Baker was going to have to outshine Burrow in this game. And in all of his divisional games going forward, he's going to have to prove his worth. And the guy did. And I'm super pumped for him. And that's the kind of play that he needs to continue with going forward. And I think it's totally
about consistency
possible.
now. If he can string together a few games, like they don't have to be 5 touchdown games, but it's just about the confidence.
Right.
Like you can throw a pick, but it's got to be confident. It can't be like that, like light lob pass across the middle, while a linebacker baited you and the safety is just staring in your eyes.
Right. Like those throws he was making, especially the game winner to Donovan Peoples-Jones. That was an amazing back shoulder ball. No way the
No
defensive back could have
hesitation
made
at
a
all.
play.
Just
loaded up and ripped.
Yeah.
Rip and grip leadership. We're starting the quarterback school eventually, but I mean, that's down the line. But like you were saying last week, where is the Baker that the Browns fell in love with, and the reason why he was the number 1 overall pick? Where did he go? Where was the fight?
Well, the whole
in him?
thing is like he brings the like swagger and energy to that locker room, and he just hadn't had that for like the end of last year and the start of this year.
Right, and I mean, it seems like he's got that swagger.
Yeah,
back.
I mean, on Sunday he looked like he was having fun,
dancing in the locker room after.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that guy dance since Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I love it, but back to the Odell thing, like, I don't know, man. Before I knew it was a torn ACL, and not till, obviously we're not trying to rag on the guy, but before I knew it was a torn ACL, I think I was texting you or my brother, and I was saying the Browns need to trade Odell and get Andrew Sendejo on the first bus to Seasville.
okay.
Never back again. Yeah, I wasn't gonna hit him with the other town that we talk about, but he's got to get out of there, man. Like, and they really need help on the back end in their defense. Oh, you are a sellout.
Sponsored by Bubbly.
Exactly. Buble.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in 2020, a torn ACL is not what it used to be.
No, it really
He'll
feels
make he'll make a full recovery, and he'll be back to the same guy he was before.
right. But if the Browns go on a run and Rashard Higgins steps up, they got to respect that. And I think, honestly, more than anything, they kind of need, if you love him, you got to let him go. I feel bad for Odell with his experience in Cleveland. Like, I really don't feel like it's been very good for his career in general, because he's a California guy. He's a Vegas guy. He's a New York guy.
He's a big name, man. He's a celebrity. He's not just a good football player. He's a celebrity.
He really transcends the game in terms of his icon status, right? So it's like, I do feel bad for him. It's like his first season did not go well here. There was a lot of reports with him talking to teams saying, "Come get me out of here," blah blah blah. It's like, I think there is a part of him that wants to be there, and he does stand by Baker. He came out this past week before the injury and before the game saying, like, Baker's our guy. We totally have his back. But
yeah, like, he's been a great teammate. All the stuff that comes out of Cleveland saying Odell's not a great teammate is not coming from within the organization.
Right. No.
Everyone has defended him, and he's defended the team, and he said, "This is where I want to be." Mm-hmm. But, like, you got to just look at the facts. If they go the rest of this year and Baker's playing really well and confident, it might just be a too many mouths to feed situation.
Right.
Where he's like, I know how good this guy is with the ball in his hands.
Right.
So I'm going to try and get him the ball.
Right. But
defenses know that too. That's the problem.
For sure. But I also think that's not just a weight on a young quarterback. That's a weight on a young head coach.
For sure.
Who knows he's dealing with a big personality and someone who it's like you were saying, it's not coming from within the organization or anything like that. It's always the media being like, should they trade Odell? They have the huge game in Dallas, and Pro Football Talk and all of these big journalistic entities are like, oh, he's the reason why the Browns won. It really seems to be clicking now. That's the recipe for them to go. And then it's like the next week, he has 2 catches or whatever it was. And then they go, do the Browns need to move on? Is there trouble in paradise? Blah, 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 blah. It's like
it's just a storyline that, like, you can keep going to that well. If you have nothing else to write about, let's write about Odell.
Right.
It's the same as, like, New England a couple of years ago, where it's like, you want to go back, you have nothing to write about, let's write about the rift between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Right. But
I understand there was something there, but, like, the amount of times a journalist would just, like, come out with a story on that.
It's there, but they're professionals and they're champions, so it doesn't affect things because of that. But then when you do look back at it, you're like, maybe Brady was letting some things leak here and there because he wanted teams to know he was going to be on the market soon and to clear up cap space to get talent, blah, blah, blah. That's all speculation. You can't prove it. But whatever. So final thought on that. Really happy with Baker. Proud of you, champ. He's just got to keep doing what he's doing and lean into what he knows he is. He's not anything other than who he is. He's just got to go out there and play football. And that one added dimension of Odell, I think, locks him in where he's going, oh, first read, Odell, oh, it's not there. And you can, like, see it. Like, it physically affects the way he plays. Because once he was out, like you were saying, I mean, he did have a lot more time in the game than usual.
Yeah, it's not in a vacuum. It's not like Odell is out of the game and now Baker's amazing again. But, you know, it just seems to be that, like, he doesn't have to think as much or worry about who he's throwing to when Odell is not on the field.
Right, and that definitely was a moment that a lot of guys could folded, because on that interception, Odell tears his ACL, and J.C. Treader, their center, got hurt for a bit. So it was literally like, it looked like the beaches of Normandy after that interception. Everyone's rolling on the ground, and Baker's like, what have I done? Yeah. But he rallied, man, and it's like, that's what matters. That's who he is, so he's got to keep that going, and I really think Rashard Higgins is gonna step up big time, man. Like, I want to do a video on him or something and kind of like analyze things, because he just kind of disappeared, and a lot of people who watched the Browns were like, what's going on? Like, this has to be some sort of...
you and your brother as Browns fans, it's like both of you have just been, like, pounding the table, being like, "Can we get Rashard Higgins on the field, please?"
Yeah,
He's a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's
It doesn't make sense when you have someone who like makes plays consistently, and then you have like Cordero Hodge, who's like he's not a scrub, but it's like Rashard Higgins. I was saying it when we were playing basketball with our friends. I was like, Rashard Higgins is the best number 3 receiver in the NFL, and they're like, who has a list of the best number 3 receivers in the NFL? It's like,
oh right, and then I said Michael Gallup is
Yeah.
the best number 3,
right,
which I stand by.
absolutely. Maybe not right now because they are
Okay,
in some
well,
deep
yeah.
water.
The Cowboys are so bad, they're no longer a topic on the podcast
Yeah.
because they're not an NFL team.
Get them out of here.
But
Dude,
speaking...
that Andy Dalton hit.
Oh, God.
Whew.
And you know what? It actually is really, really brutal seeing none of the Cowboys players, like, back him up.
Right. Oh, yeah, you should be going for blood at that point.
Yeah,
it's like we're
like-
fighting on the spot.
Like, it's like that showed me all I need to know about the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Yeah, well, that's a reflection of your coach, too. When it's like, this guy doesn't fight for us. We don't want to fight
Yeah.
for him. We all hate each other because it turns into finger pointing. And maybe that's why Aaron Rodgers all this time was such a smug, passive D-bag for the longest
Because
time.
Mike McCarthy's just sucks.
He's a beluga whale with 5 chins and a hat. Like, I don't know. That was a bad analogy, but yikes. Maybe a couple years ago for you, but you're looking good
Nice.
now.
Appreciate that, man.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
But going forward,
We'll throw up a picture of Heavy E up there.
Whoa, Big E. The Big Easy, we used to call him. But making a little switch, talking about too many mouths to feed. You were talking about earlier.
Yep.
AB in TB with TB. 12.
That.
No, I think it's reversed for the camera. Well, we'll see.
Whatever.
We're gonna play it. We're gonna watch the film. But yeah, Antonio Brown, as we all know.
I hate this move. I really, really hate this move.
Explain.
Well, like, okay, first of all, Bruce Arians multiple times before this has said, we're not bringing Antonio Brown on. He's publicly criticized Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown has publicly criticized him. He said in Pittsburgh that, like, I didn't like being Antonio Brown's coach, and he's a diva and stuff. And to bring him in after all, like, he's been quiet. He hasn't been, like, causing trouble or anything during his suspension, but just, like, I don't see Antonio Brown sucking it up and being a team player. And, like, what if he gets, like, 3 targets a game?
Right. But I mean, that's what, Bruce. I know it's not going to negate these things from happening.
And Bruce Arians has already come out publicly and said, if
he
like, for one
complains,
strike and he's out.
You're
One
right.
strike and he's out.
That's what I was just going to bring up. And not that that's going to prevent it, but at least he knows that that's what the standard is. And Bruce Arians is going to have to live by it, or else he'll be the most mocked coach in the NFL.
But it's just, I don't think they needed him. Like Scotty Miller has been an awesome number 3 for them.
Right.
He's been really, really good.
Right.
Chris Godwin's been a little nicked up, but if they get him healthy towards the end of the year, like, he's still a legit 1 or 1B.
Yeah.
And then Mike Evans.
Yeah.
What, like...
And Gronk.
And
Cameron
Gronk
Brate,
and Cameron
and Leonard
Brate.
Fournette and Ronald Jones.
Yeah, like, it doesn't feel like a necessary move.
Right.
And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe, you throw a couple touchdowns to him, he makes you a little more explosive. But I feel like the downside is way more than the upside on this move.
Right. So I wrote an article about this that you can read. HILITEHUB, football.wordpress.com.
Only
Got it
if you
right
know
there.
how to read.
Yes.
I don't.
Well, we'll make an audio version.
Nice.
I guess this is it. But what I was saying in it, I was kind of mulling over the move, and this is 100% coming from Tom Brady.
For sure.
They
For sure.
played for 7 days together in New England. Bruce Arians wouldn't have let it happen, and Tom Brady also wouldn't have let that happen if the front office was the one making the move, right?
Right.
He's like LeBron. He can have say on the roster. But with that, I think that Tom Brady sees Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, he knows that neither of those guys are fantastic after the catch. Chris Godwin is more of a deep ball threat, and Mike Evans is
a jump ball guy.
Jump ball, deep to slightly intermediate route guy. Antonio Brown is a guy who, after the catch, intermediate routes, when you're going to be playing better defenses in the playoffs, he's a game breaker and he's a dog. Antonio Brown has experience with championship pedigree teams. He obviously never won a Super Bowl, but he's been into the playoffs, and he is a Hall of Fame talent in terms of his off-season workouts.
There's sure. And he's only 30.
Right.
Like,
I think he's 32.
32?
Yeah. But still, he's a fresh 32 because he kind of taken 2 years off.
I agree. He's like, when his last year in Pittsburgh, before all this stuff happened, he was still like considered the second best receiver in the league. It was like Julio and then him.
He was rated the number 2 in NFL Top 100. He was the voted second best player in the league that year.
Yeah, like, he is a supreme talent and a crazy hard worker. And if he can stay out of his own way, this thing in Tampa would be fantastic.
It would be fantastic. And that's what I think he's going to... This is what I hope, and this is what I feel for the most part, is that he's going to come back. He's going to get on the field for the first time, and especially through the pandemic and everything that's been going on in his personal life over the past 2 years, which is clearly some sort of demons within him that he's trying to battle with. I think he's going to get out there and he's going to go, I've missed this so much. I'm not going to screw this up. I also have the chance to win a Super Bowl. 100%. He wasn't going to have that opportunity in Oakland. And even last year with New England, they really didn't have the dogs to go there. But
well, I mean, if Antonio Brown had just stayed pat, or well, if they like hadn't released him and he hadn't gotten suspended, I think New England would have had a much better shot.
Absolutely.
Because the big issue with New England last year was that they didn't have weapons.
Definitely. But also, I think getting past Tennessee in the first round last year would have been hard regardless of who they had on the roster. But now it's like, I really think that Tom Brady is looking at Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and going, you guys are good, but you're not like transcend the game good. Antonio Brown got to 10,000 yards in the third fewest games in his career. He did it in 116 games, and the only guys to do that faster, I think, was Julio Jones, and I don't know, it might have been Larry Fitzgerald. I forget who the other person was, but still, like, that's a ridiculous feat in itself.
For sure, and if his head is right, he comes in there on a 1-year deal, has a great season, but also the things that he can give to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, like those little tips and tricks to route running, because there's no better route runner in the league than Antonio Brown.
No doubt.
I love Keenan Allen. I love Devontae Adams. They're all kind of cut from that same mold where it's just like they can just get open.
100%. And just I think after the catch, the only guys who are on par with AB would be Odell. I really think that's it. And Odell really hasn't been that guy the past 2 seasons. But in terms of separation speed, once they catch the ball, those 2 guys are like the guys where they just pull away from other people. And there's always a chance when they're touching the ball, right? It's like in Odell's first 3-4 seasons, he was like every time he touched the ball, it was a spin and a juke and a hip and it's like AB is that same kind of guy. Like, he will run away from you. He'll kick you in the face. Rest in peace to that Browns punter, man. I think he died after that. His soul's for sure gone.
Okay, I just want to mention something. You've titled 2 different podcasts Rest in Peace to X person.
No, the one was Rest in Peace Dan Quinn, and the other one was The Death of Baker Mayfield.
Same thing.
Nah. We revived
So what's
him.
this one? Revival of Baker Mayfield?
The return.
Baker.
But
I don't know. I'll wait to see what happens.
Right.
But like again, it's just about where Antonio Brown's head is.
Right. And I don't know. I think I just want it to work out. That's the only thing, cuz it's good for the league. It's good for the league more than anything, and he's such a fun player to watch, and you see, other than his off-field stuff that he's done and all of that, he's such a hard worker. And do you remember after, I think it was that foot injury, not the frozen feet, but when he was in Pittsburgh, he had like that bad knee injury or the foot injury, and there was just like footage of him like marching up and down his driveway, working to get back for the playoff game.
No, for sure, man.
It's like, there's no doubt the guy loves the game.
Off the field, he's a little bit of a head case, but like in a vacuum of football, he's everything you want in a player.
Yeah.
Because he's going to bring it every snap.
Right.
He works hard, and he's just straight up talented. Like, he's just straight up good.
Right. And it's like, the dude was a 6th round pick. He worked and earned everything he got. And then Ryan Clark called it. He was like, when you pay the guy, he's going to go off the rails and become a diva. He did. But he has the chance to rewrite his past by going forward and bringing it every day and being a consummate professional. So he has the opportunity to turn the whole narrative around, and he could have one of the greatest comeback stories in terms of...
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen it in guys like, I mean, I didn't watch it, but like the Chris Carter thing, where he was, you know, a drug addict, and then he went to Minnesota and kind of changed the trajectory of his career, or Randy Moss after Oakland, like, in Oakland, people are like, oh, Randy's done.
Right.
And then he goes to New England.
Revives his career completely.
So there are stories like that, and hopefully it happens for Antonio Brown. Because he's just so fun to watch.
Right. 100%.
But also, you know, as a football fan, I'm like, why is everyone signing with the Bucks? You know, like...
Right. I was thinking about this, and maybe this could be something we could chatter about in future things, but it's like, I don't think there's any such thing as a football super team. I don't think that exists in the same vein.
Well, that's why the
Browns.
That's why the Browns weren't able to make things click with Odell. You know?
Right, because coaches also actually matter in football.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, basketball.
And there's just too many moving pieces. Like, there's 22 guys on the field at the same time. It's like, and there's only one ball.
Right, only one ball. Also,
it's like that. Do you remember that Eagles team in like 2011?
Oh,
when they signed like
Chip
Vince
Kelly?
Young. No, when they signed Vince Young in free agency, and they signed like Nnamdi Asomugha, and they.
But Chip Kelly was coaching that team, right?
No, I think it was the
Was still
last
Andy Reid?
couple years before Chip Kelly got fired. But they were like, the Eagles are a super team.
Right.
And they freaking sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not possible, because it's a player can spoil so fast in football. It's like,
and fit actually really matters in football.
100%, because it's scheme based.
Yeah, it's not like LeBron, where like you get LeBron to a team, he is the system,
right? And the GM and the coach.
Yeah, and so he gets to pick his guys and the guys he plays well with, and then you go, oh, it's a super team. But like, when a GM is putting a team together, even in football, if it's a super team, there's a lot of things that can still go wrong.
Right. And if anyone's saying, oh, well, Tom Brady created the super team, Bruce Arians is still an amazing coach.
For sure.
Dude went to the NFC Championship with Carson Palmer.
It's still the biggest mistake ever for the Colts to go with Chuck Pagano over Bruce Arians.
I know. That's an emotional thing, though, because the
I know,
cancer comeback.
yeah.
It's a tough... that would have been an insanely tough call, but it's like, yeah, man, maybe if Bruce Arians stuck around, Andrew Luck would still be playing, because I think he's an overall... I mean, you know, not to poop on the guy, but he's just a way better football mind. But also, the Colts ownership is
not great.
Shaky. It's on par with the Browns and the Jets.
Yeah.
But regardless, AB back in TB with TV12.
Yeah, we'll see him in a couple weeks and see what happens.
Ooh, it's exciting, man. Also, and this week, the return of another one of the 3Bs, Le'Veon Bell's back in KC, right?
Yeah, he had, like, I didn't watch that game, but I saw the highlight of him, like, on his first carry ripping off a 17-yard run or something like that. And it's like, in 234 touches with the Jets, he had one gain over 15 yards, and in his first touch with the Chiefs.
Right. Well, I mean, that probably happens when you have so many threats to, like, spread the field out.
But
like
I think also he's just, like, a little more energized. He's sick. Like, I'm on a good team. Like, I get to actually, like, this game, like, all my games matter again.
Right. I mean, if Le'Veon Bell can return and do those sort of things and, like, be a good teammate, I don't doubt that Antonio Brown could. Because to me, other than the legal troubles that AB got into in terms of just being a teammate,
he was just clearly dealing with some stuff in his head.
Right.
Like, he was just, like, not emotionally well.
Right. But it's like, to me, Le'Veon Bell would be a way worse teammate than Antonio Brown was. Like, his whole, like, freestyle when he was holding out from Pittsburgh, he's like... doing a freestyle. He's like, I just remembered, and he goes, because 26 is savage. And then the guy filming is like, that was sick, man. It's just like, just that whole thing. It's like, you're being a bad teammate. All of the offensive line was like, dude, you're being a bad teammate. You got franchise tagged or whatever it was. It's like, just come back and play, please. It's like, we're all out here grinding for you. We're the ones setting you up because that offensive line was great.
Still is great.
Still is great. And it's like...
But, like, they I mean, I know James Conner doesn't put up...
John Connor.
The Terminator.
You've been terminated. Get down.
James Conner doesn't put up the same sort of stats.
Right.
But that offense really hasn't skipped a beat.
No.
Since losing either of those guys.
And I think it's transformed. It's turned back into kind of like the Super Bowl runs that Pittsburgh had where it was like, we're way better, not the Jerome Bettis years, but with Mike Wallace, Santonio Holmes, it's like, we're going to throw the ball. Big Ben's going to hold on to that thing, make some crazy, like... Big Ben, dude, he's just like, he's back. And coming back after an elbow injury like that is like, that's crazy for a guy his age. So it's really,
and the thing is, he's come back and been way more careful with the ball too. Ben used to throw a lot of picks, like, and it was just something you're like, okay, you know what, we take the good with the bad because it's Ben Roethlisberger and he keeps us in games and he wins us a lot of games.
Right.
But now he's not throwing the interceptions either.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's like in his golden years,
right?
You know,
which, you know, I mean, not that I want the Browns to smoke them last game of the season when they play them, but I don't think the Browns are going to the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, picked Pittsburgh back in the pilot episode. You can listen to it, and I was surprised, man. It's like I picked Tennessee to win. And then like. Right before the game started, I ended up picking Pittsburgh because I did a $2 parlay, and I picked Pittsburgh, so I got that one right at least. But like before, I was like, I think Tennessee will take this one, but Pittsburgh will take them in the playoffs. But dude, it's like they had that score is a little bit misleading.
Yeah, because they came out and just right from the start.
They were steamrolling them. I think it was 21-0 at one point, or 24-0, or something.
I mean, there was a
crazy.
couple fluky plays that got the Titans back in the game, and then they made it really close. But
that AJ Brown catch and run, beautiful, just splitting those defenders and finding
AJ
daylight.
Brown is a beast.
Yeah, is he related to AB?
No, Hollywood Brown is.
Oh,
Marquise Brown. Okay. Yeah, Hollywood Brown is his cousin.
Okay. Still AB, though.
Yeah.
But, man, like...
Speaking of Hollywood Brown and the Ravens, another receiver is making a comeback.
And he caught it back in Green Bay back in the day. Throw up the X, baby! Des Bryant. Dude, he was... one of my favorite receivers when I was in high school. I
love him too. I'm curious to see what he's got. He hasn't played football in 3 years, and he's coming off a torn Achilles.
It's a bad one. It's a bad one in football. Retires a lot of people.
But it should be interesting. I mean, he's a really physical guy. He like fits like the attitude of Baltimore, I think.
100%, man. We were just talking about it. I was making some pasta. You were drinking a bubbly. And you were saying he kind of looks big and out of shape a little bit. Oh, yeah. Syndication money, baby. But you were like, what were you saying? You're like, he looks kind of like...
He looks slow and out of shape from his Instagram videos.
And I was like, hey, that's just Anquan Bolden in the season where Flacco and the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
Anquan Bolden played like 4 years after he stopped being fast.
Yeah. Dude, he was never really... I think he was a 4.6 guy coming out of college.
But then he
never
like...
that fast.
He was probably playing at like 4.8, 4.9 speed by the end of his career.
Probably, dude. He's just like, hey, I'm going to work against zone coverage and
just like
stair step and then get a jump ball in the end zone. It's like,
and just like strong hands. Like even if he's covered, just throw it and he will like yank it away.
Even after that Super Bowl run that they had, San Francisco picked him up. And I remember he had a huge game week 1 in San Francisco. And I was like, damn, man, this guy still has it. And
I've always loved Anquan Bolden, man. He's like a really he's like the toughest receiver I've watched in my lifetime. Maybe like Hines Ward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, to me, I'm putting my money on Anquan, especially remember his injury from back in the day.
Yeah,
like
with the Cardinals,
broken neck or whatever it was.
He broke like 6 bones in his face.
To the wire.
That's actually what they did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, honestly, Kanye.
And then he came back like 3 weeks later.
I don't know about that, but
it was like a really
crazy.
Fast turnaround.
I just remember that. The video of him basically going up for the jump ball and getting speared in the side of the head.
Yeah, I remember that.
But man, love Anquan so strong. That was another YouTube video back in the day, wasn't it?
Anquan so strong, Bolden.
He was like the same guy
that does the Greg Jennings.
Yeah.
The broken leg.
Was that the same Dan Schappel, one of the hottest hitting safeties in the NFL?
Touchdown.
Was Darren Sharper the rapist?
Yes, he was.
Whew. Get him out.
Yeah, you gotta throw that jersey out, man.
I don't have a Darren Sharper jersey.
You have 3.
Okay, well, home, away, and alternate. Right?
But yeah, Des Bryant, what do you think is like the ceiling for him?
I think he could be like a 5 touchdown. He gets targeted in the red zone kind of guy. I mean, he has to make it off the practice roster first.
Which I think he will. Like, you don't bring in Des Bryant as a practice squad body.
No.
It's like
not.
There's just no reason to bring that guy on in that role. You can bring a young guy in, you know?
Right.
You bring Des Bryant in because you think he can bring something to your team.
Right. Dude, that would be... I would love it if he came back and he just, like, didn't miss a beat from his last years with the Cowboys. But I think he will be, like... a slant versus press and a jump ball in the red zone kind of guy, which works because Lamar Jackson has no accuracy.
Well, and you know what? It gives them like a little bit of an underneath threat because Hollywood Brown is a good receiver, but he's a deep threat.
He's a deep
and
threat.
You have Mark Andrews for like that intermediate.
And jump ball.
Yeah.
Because that's all Lamar Jackson knows how to throw in tight coverage. That's all right, though.
Unbiased opinion.
Don't even look at the jersey if you're watching the video podcast. It's fine. I'm not biased, but Lamar Jackson can't stand the guy. Can't stand him. Stop wearing a running back cage and a pacifier mouth guard. Doesn't that bug you?
The mouth guard does.
But the bars don't?
I don't know. Tua wears it now, too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh,
at first, it was weird. Like, when he was at Louisville, I'm like, well, I mean, I guess, like...
It's college. You can do whatever. Everyone sucks and you're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting Lamar. I think Lamar Jackson in that system is amazing. Like, he's so good. But
they built it around him.
But I'm just saying, which is because John Harbaugh is a great coach.
Yeah.
Play to your players' strengths. But my whole point being is that when you look at all of his... He's had, obviously, some good throws here and there that are really impressive that you look at, okay, of course you have to be making some of those or else you wouldn't be in the NFL. But...
If he couldn't run, would he be a starting quarterback?
Most of his touchdown throws are either jump balls or they're wide open deep shots down the seam. Like, basically all the time. Basically all the time that they score.
But hey,
but it works.
You're only as good as your system, right? Like if he won an MVP award, he scored what 45 touchdowns or something like that.
He threw 36, which was pretty.
He threw 36 and ran for 9 or something like that.
Something like that, and like rushed for over 1,000 yards, which is like unfathomably insane.
Yeah, it's not your traditional understanding of the quarterback system, but He can do really explosive things.
But the position is changing. Obviously, it's like, to me, the perfect balance is Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's the perfect balance of, I'm going to run when I need to run. And I don't think Lamar Jackson is like run happy. I think he has been trying to pass more, and he is improving, and maybe he will turn out to be really great. But
I think Lamar Jackson, a lot of his runs are designed. I would say someone who's more run happy at this point is like Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
He still leans on, like, that's his, like, oh, my first read isn't there, I got to run now.
Right. But honestly, dude,
he's
even him in that game, Seattle, we'll throw some of the highlights up here. But Seattle, that Seattle-Arizona game, dude, it's like Kyler's already, I mean, you watch him, and it's like that pick's paying off already.
Yeah.
It's like you're 5-2 in
his second year.
In like, the best division in the league.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That division is heating up a lot because the Rams won 2. The Niners won.
It's basically the AFC North. The Browns are the Rams. Arizona is like Baltimore. And then Seattle's like Pittsburgh. It's basically it.
I mean, Seattle is definitely the team to beat in that division, but the Cardinals beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's like what we were talking about earlier in terms of you're not necessarily going to be that great if it's not a team in your division. You know what I mean? When you play them twice a year and you get a second
I'm on the
crack at
Cardinals
them.
hype train. It's going to be like a real close race to get into a wild card spot because I still do think Seattle's going to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they sneak into the playoffs, they could win 1 game, maybe 2. Like that's a good, well-rounded team. Their defense is better than you think.
Isaiah Simmons making plays, man. That he won them the game with that interception. Like Isaiah Simmons, I
think today Budda Baker is the best safety in the league. Today.
Bold statement,
today,
my friend. Today. That's Tuesday.
Forget all the reputation seasons prior. This year, Budda Baker's the best safety in the league.
He's making plays. Can't deny that.
Comment if you disagree with me. Tell me who the best safety is.
Hey, Killa Cam, who we've mentioned before. Biggest Arizona fan I know. Got to give credit where credit's due. You guys got something going on. However,
he stood through in the John Skelton days. He deserves this. He deserves his moment in the sun.
He had a John Skelton jersey.
Did he really?
No, I don't think they made those.
Okay.
But no, honestly, I really think they're a few. I mean, they still got Pat P. They got Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker,
Byron Murphy,
Murph.
Chandler
Smurf.
Jones is hurt.
Chandler Jones is hurt. Man, if they still had Calais Campbell, they'd be laughing.
I mean, Calais Campbell's been gone for like 6 years now.
But I mean, if they still had him, though.
Yeah, well, I mean,
wild. And if he wasn't in Baltimore, ruining my life.
Yeah, he had 3 sacks this week or something.
That guy's an ageless wonder too. But they, it's like they have a great lineup, man. They got Fitz, they got DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk, dude, speedster on that guy. But yeah, Kyler Murray's like fully like that touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. That was just as almost as good as any throw that Russell Wilson made that day, other than Russell Wilson's that dime, that like jumping back of the end zone throw that he made to Tyler Lockett. That was the touch on Russell Wilson's ball is amazing.
But you know what is crazy is like he has like the best touch like in the league, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But then that pick he threw to Budda Baker, like when I think it was the running back just running the little out, and he just floated it. At the goal line. He just floated it to him, and it was up for grabs. Like that's a very uncharacteristic throw from Russell Wilson to like give up a freebie like that.
Well, even the Isaiah Simmons pick in overtime that set up Arizona to win the game, that one was like no one was looking for it. So maybe it was realistically just a miscommunication and the receiver running back made a mistake and it was like an option route, because you'll get a lot of those kind of, we used to call it chili back at York, where it was a choice route by the number 3 receiver inside, so you can either break in or out or just hook it up. So it could have been one of those scenarios where he read the coverage wrong and he thought that he was going to be setting up and just curling there, turning in, and it was just going to be like a quick catch and step back into the end zone. So those things are kind of hard to tell, but it was definitely an errant throw when you look at it in live action.
Are Kansas City and Pittsburgh the only undefeated teams?
No, it's only Pittsburgh because Kansas City lost.
Oh, yeah,
to...
you're right. Oakland.
Yes.
Or Las Vegas, sorry.
Yeah. Old habits die hard. But just to finish off on Arizona, man, I'm surprised that they didn't make... I mean, I think maybe they're a little surprised that they're 5-2 right now and in the playoff hunt. If I was them, I would have made a run for Le'Veon Bell.
Totally.
I think that
For
would have
sure,
been...
actually.
I think that would have been a great fit, man.
But again, it's the same kind of thing you said when I mentioned Le'Veon to the Chargers. It's like, do you want Le'Veon Bell with a young quarterback?
Right, but I think with Larry Fitzgerald on the offense, because you got to remember,
He's like the vet presence.
He runs the show. Like,
Yeah.
you could see there was in the Atlanta-Arizona game, Fitz pulled Kyler Murray to the side. He's like, he's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, just like the whole dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, it's like
seems
big
he's
brother,
dad.
little brother.
Yeah.
And like they I saw some, I think it was like one of these football Instagram pages. I would love to shout you out, but I don't know which one it is. But it was like a super cut of like that last drive by Arizona to kick the game tying field goal. Mm-hmm. Larry Fitzgerald, no matter who got the ball, he sprints to the ball, grabs the ball, throws it to the center, so they can spike it and keep the game alive. Like, that is just savvy veteran leadership, and guys see that, and you pick up on that.
Right.
And so the amount of good habits that like the young guys on the Cardinals
DeAndre
are probably
Hopkins.
picking up. Yeah.
Dude, DeAndre Hopkins is just like every day probably having a master class on how to be an all-time great. Because like Larry Fitzgerald statistically is the second best receiver of all time. Or he will be.
People forget, man, because he's like...
Because
his athleticism is kind of declined, but those like Kurt Warner years, that Super Bowl run, man, he was like...
Well, it sucks because he's one of the few amazing receivers of all time who hasn't bounced around between teams.
Yeah, like no ego on the dude.
Way. No ego, but also has been sandwiched in between awful quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Most of his career. He had Kurt Warner, who really had 3 good seasons with Arizona.
Yeah.
Then Carson Palmer had his renaissance moment. But other than that, it's like you're dealing with the John Skeltons, the
Kevin Cobb.
Oh, man. What a B- quarterback that guy
Yeah,
is.
just good enough to keep getting opportunities.
And then Russell Wilson gets drafted. And then, remember he had that massive contract?
No, that was Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn. What a B- quarterback.
It's hilarious. Matt Flynn signed a huge contract with the Seahawks. Russell Wilson got drafted.
Yeah.
And then he signed again with the Raiders for decent money.
Yeah.
And they drafted Derek Carr, and Derek Carr beat him out too.
Eesh, poor guy. I mean, he's like the Tyrod Taylor of the NFC.
Yeah, he was the original Tyrod Taylor.
Stealing his flow. But, yeah, so Arizona, keep it going. I mean,
Arizona is our highlight hub team to watch.
Always a bird team. So let's cap off that one. Let's go over our picks really quick to review how we did, because it was a highlight hub ugly pick of the week.
Yeah,
this whole week it was not good. I think I got 4. The text on your phone's really big.
Yeah, you know what? Everyone says that to me. Why is it such a flex to have small font? Oh, I'm gonna destroy my eyes.
Better eyesight.
Okay, you do have better eyesight.
It's actually
clearly wearing glasses.
Those are for show. I'll just eat a carrot and stare right at you.
All right, man.
Okay, so we're gonna run through these quick because
Seattle, Arizona. Neither of us hit. We both took Seattle covering the spread.
Yeah, I predicted 31-27 and it finished 37-34. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, but you predicted 31-27 for Seattle, and Arizona won 37-34.
Sorry.
Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Tennessee was favored by 1. Joey took Tennessee. I took Pittsburgh, so I'm better than Joey.
For that one.
Detroit, Atlanta. Atlanta was favored by 2.5. Sorry, Andrew. That was a rough one, too.
Dude, Atlanta. once again blowing leads. Which goes back to our Dan Quinn conversation. It's like, oh, it's Dan Quinn. It's like, it comes down. I think when you lose that much, that bad all the time, it comes down to the players, man. Like, that is deeply ingrained into the fabric of their being.
Rehire Dan Quinn, trade Matt Ryan.
And Arthur Blank looks like a Disney character villain or something.
Andrew sent me a picture of him, and he called him Count Dracula.
He sent that to me too, and it was actually pretty funny. But we're not going to tell him.
That was the first time Andrews made me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Cleveland, when we first did the picks,
we didn't even cover if we got it. I got the Atlanta, or no, Joey got it.
I got Detroit. Always go with Detroit when they're playing an also bad team, unless they're playing a bad team that's better. What? So the Cleveland line, when we predicted last week, it was -3, and the closing odds changed to -3.5. So I predicted 35-31. He had 24-17 Cleveland, and closed out 37-34. So none of us got that one.
None of us. Carolina, New Orleans. New Orleans was favored by 7.5. We both took Carolina, so we both get the dub for that.
Both took it, but when I did my 12-game parlay, I was like, nah. I listened to Colin Cowherd like an idiot and picked New Orleans. Always go with your first guess,
You
people.
blew it. Buffalo's favored by 12.5. We both picked Buffalo. Both got it wrong.
Yeah. Sam Darnold came out and balled, man.
I mean, I wouldn't call it bald.
Made some
the team
really nice
scored
throws.
10 points.
He made some
He's
really
still
nice
a good
throws.
quarterback. I
Yeah.
still believe in Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Just not on that team.
Let's finish off with the Jets after this because I got some piece in my mind
Okay,
here.
Dallas, Washington.
Why did we pick Dallas? We're
Yeah, we
idiots. We're
should've.
literally going off of star power.
Yeah. That was an ugly game.
Rest in peace, Andy Dalton. There's just red hair drilled into the floor of that field.
Green Bay, Houston. Green Bay favored by 3.5. I took Green Bay. I got that right.
I took Poston.
Wah, wah.
They suck.
Tampa Bay 3.5 against Las Vegas. Joey took Tampa Bay. I took Vegas, so Joey's got me on that one.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco, New England. Joey took New England 27-24.
Oh, God. New England sucks, too.
I took San Fran.
We got to do 3 minutes on the Jets and the Patriots.
All right, cool. Kansas City by 9.5 against Denver. I took Denver. I was wrong. Joey took KC. He was right.
Chiefs.
And Jacksonville, Los Angeles. They're favored by 7.5. We both took Jacksonville. Both were wrong. Chargers won by 10.
Herbie was fully loaded.
Yeah, Herbie is. I'm all in. I gotta show up with my Justin Herbert jersey next week or something.
You do.
I don't have one yet,
do.
but I'm gonna.
We'll just alter your Phillip Rivers one or something. But yeah, let's talk about the Jets lightning round because we're closing in on an hour here. We got about 8 minutes before we hit that point.
Aren't we some chatty
Yeah, it was
gals?
a lot better this week. Last week sucked so bad. Jets, dude. Don't draft Trevor Lawrence. Sorry. Don't draft Trevor Lawrence. If you're listening, don't draft Trevor Lawrence. First of all, save that guy from the misery of your franchise. But B, you have a good quarterback. Trade that pick. You have to know what the value of that pick is. You could get 3 first-rounders for a team that really wants Trevor Lawrence. Yep. Save the pick. Build your team from the inside out.
Yep. That's like that's how the Rams became the Rams that they are today. Is like from that RG3 thing, where they got 3 first-round picks in 2 seconds for the RG3 pick, and they just built their team slowly. They just started putting pieces together.
And RG3 was so much more of a question mark. It's like Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys.
It's like if the Colts were willing, the Colts were willing to trade that first overall pick, it would have been just a bloodbath. Like any team with a veteran quarterback is probably going in on Trevor Lawrence if they have a chance.
Yeah, like there's very seldomly the pick where it's like a lot of the time it's like Kyler Murray is like, oh yeah, he's probably going to be the guy because no one was on that level of him. But there's a ton of good guys, but Trevor Lawrence is so good. Like Justin Fields could have been a number 1 overall pick in drafts in the past, but now that you have him and Trevor Lawrence, it's like there's no shot. Trevor Lawrence is the absolute number 1. There's no debate. He's a franchise changer. But Jets, stay away. Don't take him.
Like Trevor Lawrence is not going to fix the Jets' problems.
No.
They need everything. Except quarterback, I would say.
They need everything.
They have a 24-year-old quarterback.
Who's solid. And a good player. He rips the ball. He's exciting to watch. If they weren't dumb and they still had Jamal Adams, they'd still be like somewhat there.
I don't really understand trading a guy on their rookie contract just because you know you're gonna have to pay them in a couple of years, even though
it's because
they
also hate
they want
their
to
coach
get out,
and their front office. Who it's probably all gonna change soon, but whatever. Let's go to New England to finish it off.
New England sucks. I still think Cam Newton's gonna bounce back and have like a better season than he's shown so far. Like he had a really hot start, and then this COVID stuff kind of derailed their mojo.
Right, a hot start in the sense that he was like playing well into their run game and all that. Like I think,
but against Seattle, he was throwing really well.
But as we know and as we preach, Seattle plays down to everyone.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I don't think New England's gonna make the playoffs. I think Miami will finish above New England in the standings. To be honest,
right.
They just there's some talks that they're trading Stephon Gilmore. More on that as we find out things. But I read a tweet from Albert Breer.
That's a good source.
So apparently the Chicago Bears are like loading up, trying to make a move for him.
Man, they obviously really believe in Nick Foles, even though he played like Kakapui last night. But I mean, the Rams are kind of on a pretty hard rebound too. So
yeah.
But honestly, dude, it's kind of coming down to the breakup, Brady's looking good right now, dude.
Brady is if it's a relationship, Brady broke up, he's like dating a supermodel now, and Bill Belichik is dating a slump buster.
Belichick's dating a woman who looks like a dock worker in the oceans of New England. Chowder. Not good. But I don't know. I also want to see them both be like elite, or maybe they're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows what's going on in Belichick's head?
He's always got something working, but I would love Trevor Lawrence to New England, and then Brady, Belichick meet in the Super Bowl. That would be the best thing of all time.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence could get a team to the Super Bowl in his like rookie year or second year.
Russell Wilson did it.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson was on like the best Seattle Seahawks team.
Hey,
we'll see, man.
Belichick,
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But
bold prediction, you heard it here first. Trevor Lawrence to New England, and they win a Super Bowl in 2 years.
Trevor Lawrence to Atlanta. I'm calling that one.
Oh, I would also hate that. I would hate it.
Trevor Lawrence to Atlanta, Matt Ryan to the Browns.
No. Baker, honestly, buddy, we're behind you. The city's behind you. I'm behind you from Canada. We're pushing you along. You're chugging your choo-choo. We're staying progressive. The commercials aren't funny, but that's just because they need a better writer.
End this podcast.
I'm rambling. I'm
You're floundering.
I'm floundering. Flatfish. I don't know.
All right, we're signing off.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
We're going to close it out with a freestyle. Hit it. 1, 2, 3. Give me a beat. Baker Mayfield doing his thing. Rashard Higgins is leading the team. Scoring touchdowns. Field goals. Yeah. Cleveland Browns. San Diego Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers.
All right. Whatever.
All right,
we're going to delete that last part.
No, we're not.
No.
Keep that
fine. In. All right. See you later.
See you guys.
Follow us at Highlight Hub. Go to www.highlighthubfootball.wordpress.com.
Touchdown!
Yeah.
That's how winning is done. That's why we lift all them weights. It's a game of inches, gentlemen. Respect is earned. Listen, the little giant. Your team sucks, see?